I'd like to begin by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land in which we meet today. I would also like to pay my respects to the elders past and present. Welcome to another episode of the Project Life podcast. Today we are joined with Renee and Brody, who are here to tell us about their story through their fertility journeys and their pregnancies journeys. Being a same-sex couple, we're not very familiar with the process that you both go through, so I appreciate you both coming on. Welcome.
No worries. Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Just quick one. So you've both given birth now, and you've both been pregnant, and you've both been the support person for each other. Who do we start with? Are we going to start with Brody, maybe? Brody, do you want to
start with Brody.
Okay, cool. So, Brody, what was your experience through the fertility journey? What did that kind of look like for you? Like, when did you start realising you wanted to become a mum, and what was the research into it? Because you were the first to carry and give birth.
I was very overwhelmed with the whole process, really. So we actually reached out to a few different people to see who they went through and the success rate. So we went through that process. Basically, the route that we had to take was a pathway called ITSI. And ITSI is, so it's not direct IVF. So our donor had a really low sperm count.
Okay.
So I actually got my eggs retrieved, and they were individually injected with the highest sperm quality to create the embryo. Yeah.
Just to go back to find the donor, how did you find the donor?
So you can go through, there's so many different ways to find a donor. There's, so each fertility clinic has their own sperm bank, and you kind of get given a list from the Australian sperm, which kind of just has their details as a baby and family history. So you don't get any photos or anything with the Australian donors. Wow. So you just kind of get the family history and any medical stuff that has happened to them. But there's also the place we went through had European sperm bank as well. And you get a photo of them as a baby and voice recordings of their voice and little things like their writing, handwriting and stuff like that.
Yeah, cool.
But it costs an extra $12,000 on top of the price. Yeah, so you've got to get it imported, and you have to buy a minimum of 6 straws, which they use a straw per try.
Right. Okay.
And so that's kind of both the options that you have, or if you've got a known donor, you can do it that way, which seemed to be a lot easier.
And what did you both choose?
So after we spoke to people, we kind of were disheartened at the fact that we didn't like any of the sperm donors from the Australian sperm bank or the European one. They just had a couple of medical issues that we didn't want to bring into our family. So we kind of stopped for a little while and just were waiting for another list, and we started talking to people about it. And then someone we knew offered. They were finished having kids, and they offered, and we went with them.
Oh, that's exciting.
So we were really lucky, yeah.
That is. So you got to know the person as well, so you know everything about them and a bit about their personality too, just in case any personality traits go through.
Yeah, exactly.
And then, once you've picked the sperm donor, sorry, Brody, back to you. What was that journey for yourself?
So the journey can be so different to everybody. It all depends on your health, the donor's health, and what process you need to take. But basically, you start with a GP visit. You have endless amount of blood tests, fertility test, health, and then you finally get your referral to go to the clinic. usually means more blood tests, more appointments, more talking, to find out to what we are after and, what process. Because we did pick a known donor, there was a longer process of him needing to be tested as well for his fertility, his health, and a lot of counselling. So Renee and I had to both have counselling together, but we also needed to have counselling with the sperm donor and his partner, just to communicate about what we want, what they want,
setting the
and where to move forward.
Well.
Yeah. So that's all done within the clinic. But because we had our fertility journey through COVID, ours was all done through Zoom.
Oh, wow. Yeah. So you're very familiar with the media we're using today then.
Yes. Very technology based.
The egg retrieval.
My egg retrieval. So this was a journey of, I think I needed to do 12 injections. So over 12 days I would inject myself. And basically the dose gets bigger every time. But that also includes a lot of trips to the fertility clinic to get ultrasounds to make sure the eggs weren't getting too big or they were too small. They had to be just right. So I was really lucky. My eggs were perfect size throughout the whole time. So really lucky there. Some people, unfortunately, they have too many stimulants, so they can't actually get their eggs retrieved. So it's all about, your time, your weight, your health. I was doing lots of acupuncture,
I did acupuncture
essential oils, massages, the whole thing. I went a bit stir crazy, to be honest. But the actual retrieval itself, they actually took too many eggs from me. So I was really sick after it. I couldn't get out of bed for a week.
Oh, wow.
She thought she would drive to go and get acupuncture to make herself feel better, and I had to go and pick her up because she couldn't drive home. She was so sick.
So sick. Couldn't get
nausea
acupuncture.
And stuff, or pain, or you just felt
pain, dizzy, so weak, just could not get out of bed. So
how long did that last?
That lasted a week. So I was meant to get a fresh embryo transfer. I think it works out to be 5 days after the retrieval.
I think so.
But I was too sick to get it. So we had to freeze all our eggs, and I had to actually wait for my next menstrual cycle. So that was a bit disheartening. For us, that was a little bit of a setback, I think, because I had the intention of, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. And it just didn't work out that way, which is okay.
So when did you go in and, what do you do next? They put it into the egg and then they freeze it? Is that how it works?
So, okay. Well, we got an app on our phone. So we could actually, every morning they would update the app for us. So we would see how many eggs, how many embryos I had.
Awesome.
And each day they would cross off which ones didn't make it.
Okay.
I think I had 8 successful embryos.
And once the sperm is injected, then 2 more dropped off, and we ended up with 6.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they get graded from, I think, A to C, so A being the best and C being lower grade. And we had 2 grade A's, and I'm not sure what the rest are.
Yeah. So, and then they get injected first. So we use the best quality first, and you just work your way down to the lower grade. So went in and had a injection, which was actually it's a really simple process. You just with your fertility specialist and a scientist and a nurse. The scientist picks out which embryo is the highest quality, and then the fertility specialist does the inserting basically.
Yeah.
So you're really in and out within
it's just like having a pap smear. They go in and insert it and
open it up, and in they go.
Yeah.
And then you just have to wait. So
cross your legs, put your legs in the air,
and spread out. But definitely one of the hardest things being the first time was the 2-week wait. So they call it the 2-week wait, and it literally is hard. Like, I think because you've got nothing else to do, you know, you're told to be so careful, so you don't want to do too much, but you also like don't want to sit around and just be like, all right, don't feel sorry for myself.
Yeah.
So you're not meant to do any pregnancy tests at all. You should wait till the 2 weeks and go back to your fertility clinic. We lasted 5 days. And then every day after that, I was like testing. So, but
that's
we were really
why
lucky.
they say not to do it, because you go crazy testing all the time.
You do. You go stir crazy. Like, you really need to have just simple things just to get out and about.
You got to keep busy, because otherwise it's all you think about. You've just gone through this massive process, and then you're just told to wait for 2 weeks and
see what happens.
So
what
did the pregnancy test end up saying this time around? So this is
the first one I did was
there was a really faint line,
tiniest faint line. So, like, you know, waited and did one the next day, and it just kept getting brighter each day. So super lucky. And when we went and had the official blood test for finding out, they're like, oh, you're pregnant. And I'm like, oh, I know. So, but no, it's still such an exciting time. But yeah, you should wait. And I think the hardest thing is not to be negative when you do see that first initial.
Yeah, don't get disheartened if you don't see a positive straight away.
Yeah.
Obviously your mind goes crazy thinking, oh my God, it's not working, but yeah.
Oh,
we were lucky with that.
And so from there, what were your follow-ups and your doctor's appointments? Is there more because you've done the IVF route than, you know, say someone like myself?
No, so that's something that people don't tell you. So when you're actually pregnant, after you get that confirmation, you are under the fertility clinic for 12 weeks. But that's just if you have like an issue, someone to reach out to, because clearly you don't have your midwife yet. So the fertility clinic is basically just there for you for the first 12 weeks, just to help with any like questions that you may have. But after that, once you go to your GP and you're recommended to like whatever hospital you choose, or whatever birth you decide to go down, that's when everything just falls into the natural category of pregnancy.
And what did you decide for your birth? Did you go public or private? Did you have like these preferences that you wanted to kind of experience?
So I wanted a natural, holistic type birth. So we actually went to Belmont Midwifery, which is basically at Belmont Hospital. It's just like how would you describe it? Like a midwifery group of just midwives.
So it's like a birthing clinic kind of thing?
Yeah, basically.
Sweet part of the hospital, yeah.
So yeah, anything major, like if you need a cesarean, if you need drugs, if you need surgeries, you do get transferred usually to John Hunter. But yeah,
you've got to be low risk to go there. You can't go there and have high risk pregnancies. So anything that comes up, you just have to be transferred or
And you were classed as low risk then, and you got to go in there, and what was?
So I was classed as low risk, but I had HG throughout the whole pregnancy. So I was vomiting from basically week 5 to week 40, which was really fun. But
Why are you laughing so much, Renee? Did you not have the vomiting experience?
No, I didn't vomit once.
Nothing. But no, I still stayed on low risk. So I was lucky considering I didn't put on much weight until right at the end. But no, we made it through the other side, so that's okay.
No, that's awesome. And how did you find the labour and birthing experience?
It was bits, I don't know, it was more, you don't get told many things these days. I think we didn't have really many friends at that stage that had kids, so the unknown was definitely in there, and I just think the level of communication about birth itself can be quite low. They don't tell you or the scary things that can happen. Not that it will happen, but yeah, I end up having
So you started getting contractions at home, and
Yes.
I was at work.
Oh, yeah.
And she called me. She's like, "Oh, it's been happening for a little while. I don't know if it's the real thing, but I think you should come home." And we weren't allowed to go to the birthing suite until her contractions were 2 minutes apart.
Oh, wow.
So you don't do a lot. Yeah, so you do most of your labouring at home because they want you to feel comfortable and for everything to happen.
I tried that.
Kind of naturally.
Yeah.
Which is hard.
Yeah. And then you get there.
So,
it's different.
Yeah, she was at home and I came home from work and she just kind of like moved around a little bit, got through the contractions until they were starting to get a lot more intense. And she had a shower. Oh, she was laying down in bed and I all of a sudden went into a cleaning frenzy and decided to clean our entire house.
Were you nesting at the last minute, were you? Meant to do that before the labour.
Like 10 hours.
Yeah. So, yeah, she was laying in bed and I was scrubbing the windows. And
out of
her
all
water
things
broke.
to clean.
Yeah, I know. She was laying in bed and her water broke. And I was like, what was that noise? She's like, I think my water just broke. And we heard it was just like this psh noise. It was so strange. So she got up and ran in the shower. And I was then going, oh, shit, like I probably should have packed the car. So and then I put my joggers on, running around the house, packing everything into the car, going, oh, my God, what have I done? We, finally got everything in the car, got her in the car and got there. I dropped her off at the front of the hospital and she refused to get in a wheelchair and go up to the birthing suite. So we took a very slow walk with lots of stops up to the birthing suite.
And how was it feeling at this time, Brodie? Did you...
So I thought it was happening like within an hour. It definitely didn't. It was a couple of hours, but it was a very slow walk.
I felt for me, like everyone always talks about pain when labour, but I just felt pressure. Like the pressure was immense. Like no one's ever mentioned pressure to me before. It's always pain. But yeah.
They always talk about how.
See, I didn't get back pain. I didn't really have the pain as such that people do experience, I don't think, but the pressure was just like intense. Like, so heavy.
And I'm just imagining you waddling down the hallway on the way to the birthing suite. How long did that trip take?
Stopping every 2 seconds. People are going, are you okay? Yeah, she's just giving birth.
She's making it there slowly.
So you finally arrived at the birthing suite?
Well, they were like, we were just about to call you because you have to call before you go in, and because I was taking so long. So just making sure I didn't have him in the car park.
Yeah. So what was it like when you guys finally arrived? What was the setup in the room and the experience?
It was quite a large room. So they've only got 2 birthing suites, both with like your big spa bars, both with beds. One of the rooms also has like a camera so they can ring John Hunter if they need to for myself or Bub. But all like really dim lighting. It was a really nice like atmosphere. And then you can bring your own extra bits like your music and your lights and anything that you want to add. They just, they're really flexible, which is really nice.
And did you guys do that? Did you do a little bit more of a setup?
We brought stuff, but by the time we got in there, it just kind of went out the window. We didn't use any of it other than the music.
Yeah, right. What about, so pain relief, it was all natural like you wanted, or did you end up having anything?
So they don't offer any pain relief there. You don't get that option. There was a while there where she went, no, I need an epidural, but it was way too late.
Yeah.
And they're like, we don't have them anyway, so.
That's a good way to do it if you don't want it. Hey, just go somewhere where they're not available.
Exactly.
Soldier on through.
It was, for me, it's a bit of a blur. It was a couple of hours.
Yeah, she ended up in the end pushed for 2 hours and 50 minutes.
Wow.
Tried like 10 different positions and just could not get comfortable.
Yeah.
She wanted a water birth, so we tried in the bath and that, but just couldn't get comfortable. And then she ended up on a back with me, 2 midwives, a training midwife, and her mum all holding her legs up and
moving into
moving
position,
around and
pushing on different pieces of my body.
And before you guys went in, I forgot to ask, did you know what you were having at the start?
Yes.
Yep. So how did
we
you
were
find
way too
out what you were
impatient.
having?
First one was a little boy.
Yes. Beautiful little boy. And did you guys find that out through like a test on your doctor, or did you do like a gender reveal kind of thing?
Yeah, Brodie did the NIPS test. So yeah, she did that at, I think, I can't remember.
About 10 weeks or something,
16 weeks or
you did it like
yeah, 10
like
weeks.
really quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, we got that confirmation. And we were going to do a gender reveal with our family, but they emailed us the gender and Brodie opened the email by accident. So we found out at home together.
Oh, that's right. And it was COVID time still as well, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
But how long was the labour for from start to finish? And did you end up giving birth naturally?
8 a.m. till about 8 p.m.
Yeah, he was born at 7:50, so
yeah. So still did everything naturally, but I did tear, so I needed surgery at John Hunter, but he was perfect, so
perfect
no
and healthy
there.
Okay. And tell all the listeners, what's his name?
His name's Koa. And Renee had to drive my little Koa to hospital when he was like an hour old.
What?
Because I was transferred by ambulance.
Oh, right. So
and they can't fit, your little...
Bubs in.
Yeah. So they would have to order a separate ambulance to take him because he was fine. Renee drove, which she was not expecting.
I was going to say, how did that find, like putting the little baby literally only an hour old? Did you drive like 1 kilometre an hour the whole way?
Yes, I was like going for my learner's test again. I was the perfect driver.
In the night time.
Yeah, night time. I made Brodie's mum sit in the back seat with him so she could keep an eye on him. Yeah, it was crazy.
And what was that experience like for you, Renee, watching Brodie, go through her pregnancy and give birth as a support partner? How did you find that experience?
Pregnancy with Brodie was rough. Like, she was so sick all the time. So I just felt like she was like constantly needing to vomit or needing, something. Like, in the end, like, I was trying to do so much for her at the beginning, and in the end, like, there's nothing I could do to help her other than give her a glass of water, which she never wanted. But I offered it to her anyway. But it's horrible seeing the person you love so sick and unwell and just absolutely hating it. Like, there wasn't a day where she was not well. So it was just, it was pretty crap, but obviously all worth it in the end. I was very supportive of Brodie going in with no drugs, but I didn't believe she'd do it.
My pain tolerance is very low.
Oh, right.
So
okay.
I didn't think she'd do it. I thought we'd get in there and she'd go, "Nah, take me to John Hunter straight away." But she pushed through. I was actually really impressed with her efforts. So but it's wild being the person on the other side, seeing the strength and resilience that women go through to get these babies out. Like, you just go into a whole different. Like, you can become a whole different person, like, just so much strength that goes into it.
Yeah.
But seeing her and the way she did it, I just thought, it was great. It was good to be on the other side and first,
first.
Scary.
That's where we're going now. It's going to be your turn. So what was the age difference between Koa and your now daughter? I won't spoil the name. We can let you say that later.
So
what's
their age gap ended up being 13 months.
Right. Wow. Real close. Yeah, I knew it was close. I didn't realise it was that close. And when did you decide that you wanted to start the process and begin carrying?
So we knew from pretty early on that we wanted them to be close in age. We've worked in childcare for like 10 years, so we're used to that.
Too, wasn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Met at work. Yeah, we're used to kids being like around, so we just didn't think it would be a problem having them so close in age, and we wanted them to grow up being best friends and all that. So yeah, once Koa was, I think, 3 months, we started the process with me, which was heaps quicker. Brodys took, I think almost 18 months before we even started her process, but because we already had everything.
You had the same
we
donor
had the sperm,
well.
we had the eggs, we had everything. We just had to go pretty much off my menstrual cycle.
Right.
So I just got blood tests to see when I was ovulating, and then you get a message, just a text message saying you'll be inseminated in 5 days.
Yeah, wow. Okay.
So it's obviously, heaps quicker for me.
It's a very romantic
nice
process too, isn't it?
I know,
you girls?
isn't it?
Gosh. Text message.
Just get a message, go in, and same with me, inseminated, and see you later, wait for 2 weeks.
And it was the same fertility specialist?
Yeah. So we used the same person. She was really great. We loved having her. She suited us, which was good.
That's good.
Didn't ever feel uncomfortable or anything. She was, really, really good.
Excellent. How was your process for the 2 weeks after waiting? Were you as impatient as Brodie? Were you checking the pregnancy
so we were
test?
Equally as impatient the second time around. But we had a 3-month-old, so we're obviously a lot busier. 5-month-old, sorry. We were a lot busier, so it wasn't as intense, that finding things to do. But I think again we only lasted 5 days. But mine was a little bit different because I did the pregnancy test and I didn't get a positive.
Mm-hmm.
So I got really, really upset. I just cried that whole night. I wasn't going to do it, and I went, no, I'll do it. And I kind of wish I didn't do it that night, because I just cried and cried and cried, thinking like, obviously it hasn't worked, like, all the things that you think. So I was going to do one in the morning again, and I didn't. I didn't want to
dishearten yourself
again. Exactly. So I waited. I don't know if I did it the next night or the night after. And I got a line, like a faint line. So that was a lot better. I felt a bit better. I just obviously had done it too quickly.
Yep.
It was a much better feeling, obviously, to get that line.
Bit of relief.
And then, again, we did it every morning after that, and it just gradually got darker.
And you had to go in for the blood test as well?
Yeah, so same process. We did the blood test, and they rang while I was at work. And said, "You're pregnant." And again, we were like, "I know." So it was nice. It's still nice to get that confirmation, because you never know, like with pregnancy tests, like what's happening, or if your levels are actually where they need to be, kind of thing. So to get that confirmation is always a weight off your shoulders.
It is, definitely. And so talk us through your pregnancy journey. What was that experience like, going through it in yourself?
I really enjoyed being pregnant. I was really lucky. I didn't get any sickness. Like, I wasn't vomiting. I think for the first 12 weeks, I got a little bit nauseous at nighttime during dinner. I didn't eat a lot of dinner for the first 12 weeks. I went through a stage of not being able to eat meat.
I've heard of that. I didn't experience it, but
it was just everything. Every time I looked at it, it just turned me off it. But I never vomited. I didn't vomit the whole time. So I was very, very grateful after seeing how Brodie went through what she went through. So I was really lucky. I enjoyed my pregnancy. I found it easy. I was the usual tired. I think about 30 weeks, I just kind of went really downhill. Like, I could barely get out of bed. I was swelling up. Like, I was going to work and I couldn't do anything. Like, I was just sitting around, just kind of useless, sitting around, not doing anything.
Just that fatigued.
And then I ended up having, my midwives came to the house to do all my checks and everything. And they checked, like, my wee and my blood pressure and everything. and they just checking like for the protein and that in your wee, because doing IVF, you've got a higher chance of getting preeclampsia.
Okay.
So for every night up until 36 weeks, I took half an aspirin to try and prevent. I don't know why Brodie didn't have to, but I did. And yeah, after the 36-week appointment, you stop taking your aspirin, and that's when they did my wee sample, and I had protein in my wee. So I had to go to the hospital and get my blood pressure checked and everything. And it was really high. So I had to go back every couple of days from 36 weeks, and I ended up having preeclampsia.
Yeah, wow.
So was why like my ankles, hands, feet, everything was so swollen from an early stage. And it wasn't, just a little bit. People were commenting on like going, oh my God, where are the ankles?
Yeah. They're that big.
They were huge.
So you had beach balls for ankles, is that right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And nothing I could do would fix them. So, yeah, it was a really nice look.
Oh, no.
So, yeah, from there I ended up every second day at least, going into hospital to have checked my blood pressure, blood tests, just to make sure things weren't getting worse. And by 37 weeks, they said, no, you need to be induced.
Oh, wow.
So I got I think a week's notice. I got induced at 38 weeks and 2 days.
So Brodie was a little bit more organised than what you were when she started.
Yeah. Yes. So, yeah, I was, we'd only put the car seat in a week before, so we were lucky we'd done that.
Yeah. Were the windows clean? Yeah. Need to know, were the windows clean?
Well, Brodie didn't clean them.
Nothing was organised.
You had a baby at that time.
Yeah, exactly.
We were organised to have a baby, but our house, no. Not the windows.
I ended up getting induced, getting up at like 4 a.m. going into the hospital. So you're supposed to get the tape put in, which is just like hormone put in to soften your cervix and everything. And then you're supposed to get
12 hours later?
12 hours later, yeah. You have that in for 12 hours.
Right.
And then they kind of go from there. Usually there's I think they said a 5% chance that you'll labour off the tape. It's more to soften your cervix than induce labour.
Yeah.
So I went in and they check you before they do it, like they put it in, and she checked me and was like, yeah, you're not ready yet, you've got to have the tape. So put the tape in, which is again just like a open up, put in, and it just kind of hangs out, I suppose. And it's not very comfortable.
No.
And I ended up labouring off the tape, which was good. Yeah. So I'm so glad I didn't have to go through the whole induction process. Yeah. So yeah, I think that was at like 7 a.m. By 1 o'clock I got
tape removed.
The tape removed because I was getting contractions
every like 30 seconds.
Yeah, I didn't get a break.
That's really quick and really close together.
Yeah. So, 1 o'clock they started, and it's just really, really intense. And I got the back pain and the pressure, and so I didn't want to get up. I was messaging Mum saying, like, don't come, like, it's not going to happen today. Don't come in the hospital. She ended up coming at 3 o'clock that afternoon, which was lucky she did because I was, going like full-on contractions. They checked me in the afternoon sometime and said, well, you're 4 centimetres dilated, like you're having this baby today. That was at like 4 o'clock, I think.
Yeah.
So Brodie went to have dinner. She went down the hospital like cafe and got some dinner and came back, and they checked me again and I was 10 centimetres dilated.
Yeah. That's quick. How long were you gone for?
An hour.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. And
so, and I'm like...
Did you have an epidural?
No, she was only like 6 centimetres dilated, and they were going to send her up to the birthing suite to give her some morphine to slow everything down. But by the time we were up in the birthing suite within 10 minutes, and that's when she was 10 centimetres. So she only pushed for 20 minutes.
I think it said 30 minutes.
Yeah, 20, 30 minutes and she was here.
Yeah, I was trying to push in the wheelchair on the way up to the birthing suite.
Want to be one of those crazy videos you see.
Yeah, exactly.
Luckily, we had a very blunt midwife with Renee, because Renee's like, I'm having the baby in the wheelchair, and she's like, get out, get on the bed. You're not having this baby in a wheelchair. Cannot catch this baby in a wheelchair. So Renee needed that. She needed that extra. You're going to do it this way, and you're going to listen to me.
So before you went into labour, Renee, you wanted a holistic birth, Brodie, but did you have any preferences on giving birth? Or
I wanted drugs. I said, I do not want any pain.
And she got no drugs because she got it too late.
So you felt the full brunt of labour as well?
Yes. So they gave me the gas for 3 contractions and then said, no, she's coming. And that was it. They took it back off me and just said, you need to focus on pushing. So I started pushing, and she was getting kind of stuck, and my heart rate was getting really high and hers was getting really low. So they said they wanted to put the clip in her head. Yeah. And I said no, because I didn't want that. So they let me go a few more, and then they said, oh, her heart rate's dropping even more. I think we really need to get the clip in. So the midwife went to get a doctor and came back, and the doctor said, no, it's too late now. She's just about to come out. Yeah. And I just couldn't push her out. I was trying. And they said, all right, you've got one more push, or we're going to have to give you an episiotomy. So they were getting all the tools ready, and they said, this is your last push, give it all you got. And I pushed her out.
Good on ya.
It came out.
Woo. And for those that are listening that don't know what an episiotomy is, what is it?
So they pretty much get all the tools ready and cut you from front to back to open up more space for the head to come out.
Yeah.
So, yeah, not pleasant.
Lucky you didn't have to do that, but did you tear as a result of getting her out? Because
I got a tear, and I had to go into surgery straight afterwards as well. So
right.
Yeah, same, pretty much similar to Brodie. Lost way too much blood and had surgery, and then had to come back. Yeah, I had to have 2 blood transfusions, an iron infusion.
From
it
all
was
the blood
pretty crazy.
That you lost.
I lost 2.5 liters, of blood.
Gosh.
So yeah. So, that's why I had to go into surgery and get mainly the blood. Yeah. And, then I ended up coming back, and they gave me fentanyl for the pain. So you just give it to yourself every 5-10 minutes. Yeah. And I was doing it, and then it was pretty dark in the room, and I said to Brodie, my face feels super swollen. And Brodie looked at me, and it was dark. She's like, no, you're fine. And I said, no, I really don't feel great. And she turned the light on, and she went, holy shit, who are you? My face was that swollen. So I'd had an allergic reaction to the fentanyl and had to, stop that straight away. So, Brodie's got a nice photo that she likes to show everybody.
I know the listeners can't see this, but I'm going to show you just for
No,
reaction.
Send it to me. We can use it for the promo for the episode.
Oh.
It is. Yeah, it's not nice, is it, Bob?
Oh, poor Brodie. Oh, no, Renee. You don't even look like you. Oh, my gosh. You don't look like you at all.
No.
Wow.
So, that was pretty intense.
God, I bet Brodie got a shock when she turned on the light. Hey?
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
And what about you, Brodes, going from the giving birth experience to the partner? What was...
It was so nice to be on the other side because, like Renee, I also had a allergic reaction, and I think just knowing what could come is just it's a bit scary, but it's also how to support. So basically touch and communication through pregnancy is just like through birth is just such a huge thing, because you really just blank out for everything else, I think.
Yeah.
I didn't know who was in the room. Renee had no idea that there was about 6 midwives, 3 doctors, plus me and her mum. Like, it's just, a whole different ball game, but it's nice to understand, and it's nice to have that the experience of being on the other side as well.
Yeah, I think that's something that, you know, same-sex couples like yourselves who are doing this process and doing it where each of you have a turn of carrying and giving birth, you know, that's something that so many
just have that recovery time too. Like, we can have 2 children that are so close in age, but give our bodies the break that we actually need as well.
Yeah, true. I haven't thought of that. That's a really good point. And did you do, I know you wanted a holistic birth yourself, but did you guys do any birthing classes or any hypnotherapy?
No, because like Cole was a COVID baby, there was actually no classes at that time at all. We weren't going to do classes, but I think going into a class and having that, just that little bit more knowledge about, you know, what can happen, different positions, I think it would have been beneficial. But no, we didn't. And I think because like my birth and pregnancy were to the extreme, Renee was pretty well equipped with what could happen.
Yeah, you guys sound like you had such you had good experiences to be able to share it with somebody who understands what you kind of go through, especially the second time round, you know, having you that understands. And even Renee, you've been in that situation watching Brodie, you kind of understand what's happening. Plus you had Cole at the same time. So, you know, while you had an easy pregnancy where you weren't sick, you still had a baby as well that you were adapting to. And we haven't told the listeners yet, but what is your beautiful daughter's name, who, if you haven't heard, is also joining us today?
Her name is Shiloh.
Shiloh. Another beautiful name. Aren't you gorgeous? Hey? Oh, yeah. We're getting a bit over recording now, aren't we? You've been a good player for most of it. Any tips that you guys have for any other queer couples looking to start a family from your experiences? Anything you've learned you want to share?
Our only advice would be if you're really not set on keeping it a secret, talk to as many people as you can, because you can do so much research and you'll never find the information that other people can give you, because there's so many different experiences. And that you just learn so much from everyone else. And it's nice to also have that support, because going through IVF is just such an emotional, huge thing to go through in your life. It's not the fun and exciting way to make a baby for most people. And it's not a short process either. Like, you've got to make sure that you've got enough time to do it. Like, it took 18 months for us to start, and that's from the start with Brodie. And the money side of things, it's expensive. Like, it's crazy expensive. You've got to, and that we were lucky that we fell first time each. So that's the only advice I would give is make sure you're prepared financially and emotionally, and make sure you've got that support.
Yeah, that's great advice. And just a quick one on the cost, and while I'm thinking of it, because you guys went with a known donor as opposed to one from one of the registers or banks, was there a cost difference between the two, using someone that you knew, or was
Yes, so using someone that you know is cost-free other than the genetic testing. If you choose to get that done, you don't have to. We did. There's no cost for if you have a known donor. If you use an Australian donor, this is just with our fertility clinic. Each time you try was $2,000 for the Australian sperm. And yeah, like I mentioned before, $12,000 just to get the imported from the European.
Yeah.
And that's only for 6 straws. So if you need more, then you've got to spend more on getting it.
Yeah, that's crazy. Well, I'm so glad that you guys have been blessed with 2 beautiful children, and they've been both healthy at birth as well. No complications there. Thank you again, guys, for joining us today on the podcast. And I really appreciate you sharing your story. I know I've learnt so much from what you guys have gone through to create this amazing family that you have. And I'm sure so many other people out there will enjoy listening to it. And quite a few probably can relate as well, which is good.
Yeah, absolutely. No, thank you.
Thanks, Brodie, wherever you are in the back there with Bubs.
She's with Shiloh somewhere.
Excellent. Thank you for joining us for this episode of Project Life Podcast. Do not forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel, follow us on Instagram and TikTok, and subscribe or follow on any of the listening platforms where you stream your podcasts.